Coming up on Mountain News this morning, former President Trump made a surprise announcement yesterday after calling for abortion to be a states' right issue. And soon, Governor Beshear is expected to make some big decisions as the veto deadline ends today.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning, I'm Olivia Calfee. The time is 6:30 on Tuesday, April 9th. Now let's check in with meteorologist Tim Drawbridge for a look at your forecast this morning.
Good morning, Olivia. Good morning, everyone. A lot of clouds as we wake up and get out the door on a Tuesday morning. You can see it pretty well, even though the camera's still in night vision mode. 59 here in Hazard. Cooler as you make your way toward Clintwood and Grundy at 48. It's 56 at Harlan, 52 Manchester, to 61 at Jackson and Moorhead in 59 as you make your way back to Irvin. All right, the pinpoint Doppler radar picking up a couple of showers as you make your way just south of Harlan, southeastern Harlan County, back toward Middlesboro, and right along the state line as you make your way through Tennessee, northern Tennessee, on into southwestern portions of Virginia. And we'll run the risk of seeing a shower or thunder shower this morning before this widespread moisture here tracks into southern and eastern Kentucky for the second half of your Tuesday. So again, shower, thunder shower this morning. Widespread periods of rain, thunder shower threat this afternoon, a high of 64. More about the First Alert 7-day forecast coming up in just a few moments. Olivia?
All right, Tim, thank you. This morning, abortion is back front and center in the 2024 presidential race after former President Donald Trump yesterday declined to throw his support behind a national abortion ban. Instead, he said the contentious issue should be left up to the states. The Trump announcement has brought on criticism from some prominent members of his own party as well as from the Biden-Harris campaign. CBS News' Jared Hill has more from New York.
This morning, former President Donald Trump is facing backlash from his base with his latest stance on abortion. Instead of supporting a federal ban, punting to the states.
At the end of the day, this is all about the will of the people.
Trump, though, still boasting for appointing the Supreme Court justices who helped overturn the federal right to an abortion.
I was proudly the person responsible.
Staunch Trump allies, South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham, in a rare public rebuttal, posted he respectfully disagrees with Trump's take, again pushing for a federal 15-week ban. The former president fired back, writing Graham is, quote, doing a great disservice to the Republican Party.
I was surprised.
Marjorie Dannenfelser of Susan B. Anthony Pro-Life America says she's disappointed by the former president's decision not to endorse a national ban. But after a phone call with Trump yesterday, she believes that he could change his mind.
I actually do think that he will get there.
President Biden and Vice President Harris made similar arguments yesterday.
If MAGA Republicans put a federal ban on his desk, he'd sign it.
They vowed to restore federal abortion rights. It's okay. And just hours after Trump's announcement, the Biden campaign released a new ad featuring a Texas woman who was denied abortion services following a miscarriage, saying a resulting infection may prevent her from getting pregnant again. Jared Hill, CBS News.
An Arizona court is expected to announce a decision today on whether to keep a 2022 law that allows abortions up to 15 weeks or reinstate a Civil War-era near ban on the procedure. The issue will also be on the ballot this November in states like Florida, Maryland, and New York. The Biden administration has unveiled the details of a new plan to forgive student loan debt for millions of Americans. The White House says the new policies target specific groups. For example, people who have balances bigger than what they originally borrowed due to interest, and people who enrolled in low financial value programs, which left them in debt but without good job prospects. These proposals still need to be finalized, which could take months. Those smaller programs, the administration has canceled $146 billion of student debt for 4 million people. Over here in the Commonwealth, more than 1,000 bills have been introduced this Kentucky legislative session. Some of the more talked about pieces of legislation are still waiting on Governor Andy Beshear's decision. The Commonwealth's 2024 budget is just one of them. Governor Beshear can use what's called a line item veto, or the ability to cancel specific provisions of a bill. Beshear has today to decide on those bills before lawmakers reconvene on Friday and Monday. Yesterday, Governor Beshear did veto a bill that could have led to the breakup of JCPS. The governor said House Concurrent Bill 81 is aimed specifically at splitting up JCPS, and the bill has received criticism from both Republicans and Democrats. The bill would create a task force specifically to analyze districts with students of 75,000 people or more and explore options to make them run more efficiently, including the possibility of splitting up districts or moving boundaries. JCPS is the only district in Kentucky with 75,000 students, so critics say this clearly applies to that school district. Governor Andy Beshear is set to make a couple stops in eastern Kentucky today. The first visit will be at the Wayland Area Volunteer Fire Department in Floyd County. Beshear is set to arrive around 2 p.m. to meet with local leaders and partners to celebrate the building site of new high ground homes. The governor will also be in Pike County for a ribbon cutting at the new Pikeville Senior Citizen Center. That is scheduled to take place a little after 3:30 p.m. Later this week or next Monday, the state Senate will hold its first ever confirmation process for a Kentucky Education Commissioner. Lawrence County Superintendent Dr. Robbie Fletcher is the state school board's choice. He's a Martin County native who has run the schools in Lawrence County for almost 10 years. The legislature inserted a Senate confirmation process in the law in recent years, and this is the first time it's being used. Yesterday, crews began engraving the names of fallen law enforcement officers at the National Memorial in Washington, D.C. Prior to National Police Week, the names of law enforcement officers who died in the line of duty the preceding year and years prior are engraved on the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial. This year, 282 names of fallen officers will be engraved into the wall. They join more than 23,000 other names dating back to the first known American officer death in 1786.
By virtue of it being engraved here, there's some part of that that conveys onto the family and perhaps onto the nation that while we certainly would wish that they were still alive, by virtue of their sacrifice and their name being engraved here, that we are in some way trying to memorialize them, their name, their story, that it will exist here for all time.
The names being engraved will be read aloud during the 36th Annual Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Candlelight Vigil in Washington, D.C. in mid-May. Richmond police want you to be aware of what your children are doing online. They say internet crimes against children are becoming more and more common. Suzanne Howell is the Victim Service Community Outreach Coordinator for Richmond PD. She says even though kids make mistakes, the mistakes they make should not get them hurt. Howell says the department is teaming up with KSP to host a forum educating parents and guardians about internet use among children.
Kind of giving them some tools to take home with them and, hopefully use to kind of keep their kids safe.
Howell says you should also remind your children to never give out personal information online and to know who they are interacting with. One Clay County business will soon expand into a new building. Jackson's Manchester Lumber Company has operated for 75 years in the same location. On Monday, folks gathered to celebrate the groundbreaking for what will be their new space right off the Hal Rogers Parkway. Owner Donna Jackson says they will be creating new jobs through this process.
Our previous location has been there for over 75 years, but the building's old, but we're expanding and going to double our employees and bringing in new jobs.
Jackson says the new space will provide them more inventory and will be more convenient for their customers.
And a good Tuesday morning to you. Seasonably mild start to the day. We're basically in the 50s and lower 60s, minus a couple of you reporting in from extreme western southwestern Virginia, Grundy and Clintwood at 48. 58 at London, now at 59 up at Moorhead, and 61 at Prestonsburg. Here is the pinpoint Doppler radar, showing again a couple of showers as you make your way toward Harlan and Middlesboro. This is tracking off to the east and southeast, and we all run that risk of seeing a shower or thunder shower this morning before all of this widespread precipitation tracks our way. And look toward Paducah and beyond Bowling Green. That area is now starting to blossom as well. All right, the travel cast for this morning, again, a little faded sunshine in spots, maybe a shower or thunder shower. Otherwise, the bulk of the moisture comes into play as we head through the afternoon for the drive home from work and school. High today in Hazard up to 64. How about highs over the next several days? We'll let you know. Your first alert 7-day forecast coming up in just a few moments. Olivia?
Thanks, Tim, and thank you for joining us. The time is now 6:40. Still to come on Mountain News this morning. Fans continue to react and speculate what's next for UK after news came out that Calipari might leave for Arkansas.